In the quiet stillness before dawn, when the world was hushed and every breath felt heavier than the last, a man stood alone in the doorway of an abandoned military home, wondering if he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. The peeling paint, the cracked windows, the silence of a place that once held discipline and structure, none of it scared him. What terrified him was the small hand gripping his pant leg, trusting him completely. That tiny hand belonged to his daughter, Lily. And at that moment, as the cold morning breeze rushed through the broken door, he realized he wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was fighting for a future. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that restore faith in humanity, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support truly helps keep stories like this alive. James Harper had never imagined becoming a single father, much less a janitor struggling to keep the lights on. Life had not been gentle with him. After losing his wife to an unexpected illness and watching his savings drained by medical bills, he took whatever job he could find to keep little Lily fed. For months, they lived in a cramped apartment that echoed with loneliness each night. But when he learned about a run-down former Army residence being auctioned off for next to nothing, he believed, no matter how foolish, that maybe this was his chance to rebuild their lives from the ground up. The old military home wasn't just damaged, it was forgotten. Rusted hinges, a sagging roofline, dust thick enough to coat memories that weren't his. Yet James saw potential where others saw ruin. He worked double shifts, then came home and repaired broken boards by flashlight while Lily slept curled up on an old mattress. Some nights, his hands trembled from exhaustion, but he kept going. Every repaired wall felt like reclaiming a part of his dignity. Every board he nailed down felt like a promise to his daughter that he wasn't done trying. But the challenges only grew heavier. Supplies cost more than expected. His truck broke down twice. Lily fell sick one week and he couldn't afford both the medicine and the repairs the house desperately needed. Some mornings he looked at his reflection and saw a man aging too fast, a man stretched thin between responsibility and hope. There were moments he almost gave up, moments when the burden of trying to rebuild a life alone felt too heavy. Yet every time he thought of quitting, he heard Lily's laughter echoing through the unfinished rooms, giving him the strength to keep going. One afternoon, while sweeping the porch, James noticed something strange. A black SUV slowly approached the dusty road leading to his property. Out stepped three women in uniform, one in crisp white dress attire, the other two in camouflage. They walked with the kind of confidence only soldiers possessed, but their expressions were soft, thoughtful, almost searching. James froze, unsure if he should approach or retreat. He had no idea who they were or what they wanted with an old home that had long been forgotten. The woman in white stepped forward first, her posture composed, her eyes scanning the property with a mix of nostalgia and sorrow. Behind her, the two soldiers exchanged a quiet glance, as though this moment mattered more than they could say. Lily peeked from behind James, clutching his hand. He tightened his grip protectively, though something inside him whispered that this encounter was not a threat, but a turning point. The women explained that they had once lived, trained, laughed, cried, and become soldiers inside this very home years ago. It wasn't just a building to them. It was a place where they learned strength, where they built sisterhood, where they made promises to protect others. After the unit disbanded and the residence was abandoned, they thought the home would eventually be demolished. None of them expected to see someone living there, let alone someone who was trying desperately to save it. As James listened, something inside the soldiers shifted. They weren't just observing a man fixing an old house. They were witnessing a father fighting to give his daughter a stable life in a place that had once molded them into who they were. It touched them deeply. They recognized that same resilience, that same determination, that same silent desperation they once carried in their own hearts. Over the next few days, the three women returned, not out of duty but out of compassion. They brought leftover materials from their base, volunteered their time, and worked side by side with James to repair the home. Their hands, once trained for combat, now painted walls, hammered nails, and restored hope. Lily followed them around with a giggle, calling them her soldier aunties, a nickname that made the women smile in ways they hadn't in a long time. As the house transformed, so did James. The weight he carried for so long began to lift. He found himself laughing again, something he had almost forgotten how to do. The soldiers, too, found healing in giving back to someone who needed help, something they always believed in, yet rarely got to see the impact of so closely. What began as a simple visit soon turned into a bond none of them expected. The home was finally completed one sunlit morning. The women stood proudly beside James as Lily ran through the grassy yard, her laughter carried by the wind. The old army home, once broken and silent, now radiated warmth, safety, and rebirth. The soldiers presented James with a small framed plaque they had made themselves, thanking him for preserving something that mattered to them. James, overwhelmed, could only whisper his gratitude. As the three women prepared to leave, Lily grabbed their hands and hugged them tightly. James realized then that they hadn't just rebuilt a house. Together, they had rebuilt a family, not by blood but by heart. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue bringing life-changing stories to you.